Morning. Thanks for being here. So, excited to get started here. To say really the roster where it is, probably a snapshot of where ultimately we'll be. Probably be a lot of changes between now and the end of the season, probably even before the start of the season. It's no different, for us than it is the rest of the league. But I think we're in a decent spot. Try to have a good couple days of practice here today and tomorrow. And then the players have kind of that long weekend there, the mini bye. And we'll come back Monday and kind of get ready to go for, one of the best teams in the league, a week from Sunday in the Rams. So, a lot of work went into this to get to this point. Players worked hard, staffs worked hard, a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversations with a lot of people throughout the building, which will continue. D'Amico and I essentially, he was asked about this the other day, and we'll basically talk about the team like every day. And it just takes a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation back and forth, and just try to arrive at a good endpoint that we feel makes sense for our team. And if there's an opportunity out there that makes sense, we'll consider it. We're always going to consider it. If not, we'll always be prepared with the group that we have. So overall, in a decent spot and kind of excited to flip the page here and get ready for the regular season.
Anticipate adding another tight end, or do you all feel like Bridge Brooks is a person who could make you all flexible there?
Yeah, we'll see. And I've talked about this at different points. Some positions you carry your depth on the roster. Some positions you carry your depth off the roster. We view it as 65, 70 players are essentially available every week at our disposal, and whoever we feel can help us that particular week or game, we'll consider it. We probably very easily could have carried 60 to 65 players on the actual roster, but the rules are the rules. So we try to work within the parameters that were given by the league. So some positions, they'll be on the 53, some will be on the practice squad, but we don't view the practice squad players any differently than the players that are on the roster. Some of this is just mechanics and just positioning and, where do you feel that you have to carry a player or handle a player. So, we'll always look at it and ultimately do what we feel makes the most sense for our team.
When it comes to British Brooks and him making the team again, what did he show you, special teamer, and what is he showing you, just kind of how hard he works, that kind of thing?
Yeah, when you look at our program, what are the hallmarks of our teams and, what's important to D'Amico? Toughness, effort, physicality. Who better embodies that than British Brooks? So the way he plays, his mindset, his toughness. The guy doesn't say boo, barely know. There's a lot of guys like that. Doesn't really say much in the building. Lets his actions kind of do the talking. So British has earned his opportunity. The players that are on the team have earned their opportunity to be where they are. And there's a number of other players that aren't on the team that earn their opportunity as well. We'll kind of see how it all shakes out here over the next, call it 24 hours. There's going to be a lot of movement. You'll get the waiver period here by 11 o'clock. Teams have to put the claims in. Then you'll form the practice squads by kind of 1 o'clock, midday. And then there'll be some other transactions tomorrow. But by Thursday afternoon, wherever you're going to be, that's where you're going to be for now. But, British has worked really hard. Had his season cut short last year with the injury. But when he's been on the field, he's made an impact last year going back. He was active, week one. And he made a tackle, I think, on kickoff coverage or something like that. So, that's when you're a role player, you have to do multiple things well. You're either starter on offense, starter on defense, or starter in a kicking game. So now, again, we can only take 48 players at a game each week. So whether he's a part of that or not, we'll have to see kind of all transpires. But British is a good kid, works really hard, embodies a lot of the qualities that we covet in this program.
Is there a setback with Mixon, or did y'all anticipate it would be this bad?
Yeah, with all the injured players, kind of take it one day at a time, and so whatever their timeline is, we kind of handle accordingly. I'd say the players that are on PUP or NFI, they're out 4 games or 4 weeks, so once we get through 4 weeks, we'll kind of evaluate it at that time.
How did you end up on NFI instead of PUP? Was it something away from the facility?
No, it's not my call, it's the league's call. So you turn the transactions in, and they put the players in categories. So, that's how it's handled.
Do you anticipate him playing this year, Mixon?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time, and we'll evaluate those players after 4 weeks and kind of see where they are in their progression and then make a determination.
Find what now, you just mentioned, this is the point where we are for now. So how long was that process? You're talking, 96 hours, and then you sort of redo this process again?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say it's very fluid. Honestly, it's an ongoing process throughout the year. So when you look at some of the players that are currently on this team, let's just use Tommy Togei as an example. a year ago, we weren't even talking about Tommy Togei. He wasn't on our team. He wasn't in training camp. He wasn't on the practice squad. We signed him, I want to say it was like end of September, beginning of October. Kind of started on the practice squad, worked his way to the roster. And, a year later, here he is, on a 53-man roster, with an opportunity to make a contribution. So go back 2 years ago, we were having this conversation. I mean, nobody was talking about Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett, waiver claim in November. And DB's been, I'd say, an integral part of what we're doing here the last, few years. So it's a fixed point in time. I mean, it's just the rules are the rules. Everybody's got to get to 53. Then you form a practice squad. So you're going to see a lot of movement, probably more movement on and off practice squads than you will see on the roster. But at any point, a player could go from the practice squad to the roster, and it's a simple transaction. So we view it as an ongoing thing, no different. We've talked about this. I mean, everybody gets excited about the draft. I think more of a deal is made out of the draft than really should be. It's just a fixed point in time, no different. Here we are in training camp to go from 90 to 53. It's a fixed point in time. But the roster building process really is ongoing, and there's going to be other opportunities out there for us, and we'll always look at it and we'll consider it. And if it makes sense, we'll do it. If it doesn't, we won't. But that's kind of how we handle it.
Tommy, what have you liked about him since he's gotten here, and has he exceeded expectations for a guy you just brought from practice?
Yeah, similar answer regarding British Brooks. I mean, Tommy's one of the hardest working players in our building. Probably been one of the most consistent players from the start of the offseason program till now. He started training in February. I want to say he's like a 700-pound squatter. He's like one of the strongest guys on the team. So, Tommy was a good football player at Ohio State. Fourth-round pick by the Browns. Didn't work out. Kind of had some injuries. Shortchanged me there a little bit. But, Tommy's an NFL football player. He's got the right mindset. He's got the right attitude. He works his tail off. He goes out there and makes plays. So, he's been really good to work with. Has taken advantage of his opportunities when they've been provided. And glad he's here.
It become a reality to you guys that Joe was going to miss this much time?
Yeah, we take it one day at a time, and, can't really – there's no crystal ball out there. So, we build a team and take the information and, plan accordingly. So, Joe's not available right now. So, whenever he becomes available, we'll talk about it at that point in time.
If he isn't able to play, do you feel like this running back room can handle his loss?
Yeah, we feel the players that are on the team right now can help us. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. So, whoever's got to play, we're going to probably need everybody at some point. So, the players that are on the team, we're going to need them. The players on our practice squad, we're going to need. So, whoever's in the building, the expectation is that you're going to prepare each week and get ready to play, and that you can help our team. There's multiple examples of that. D'Angelo Ross, there's another player, practice squad, has helped us in the kicking game, made an impact. Adar Holman over the course of his career. There's multiple players that have been off a roster on a practice squad who we've activated for games, and they have gone out there. Tommy, we just talked about him. Like nobody was talking about Tommy Togei last year at this point either. And he's gone out there in playoff games and actually helped us win. So whoever's here, the expectation is you're going to get your stuff ready to play. If there's a better option out there for us, we'll consider it. If there's not, then we won't.
When you have a player like CJ, quarterback, you have Davis, who's been his backup for a couple years now. What goes into keeping Graham Mertz on the roster versus another roster spot at another position?
Yeah, just try to keep, good football players in the building. Some of this roster mechanics, like what do we feel makes the most sense. So, every team's going to have a third quarterback in some capacity. Some will be on, some will be on a practice squad. When you look at the numbers, probably half and half. So it's just a matter of, what do you think makes the most sense? We've done it both ways. We've had two on. Last year we had two. We've had three at different points. So we just felt like that made the most sense for Graham at this point in time. Graham's worked hard, played well the other day. He's been pretty consistent, really, since he's walked in the building. It's kind of taking a little bit of time to get up to speed, coming off of, the ACL injury there that he sustained back there at Florida. So, some of it is just whatever we feel makes the most sense for the team. And there's going to be players, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, if our depth's not on a roster, probably going to carry it off the roster, so might be able to supplement it in a couple different ways.
USC, Jalen Smith played a lot of positions. Outside, he also played some nickel. Do you guys like what he could do potentially as a backup nickel to Jalen Petrie?
You talking about J-Rock, Jalen? Yeah, he's taking reps a little bit in, a little bit out. Probably worked a little bit more on the perimeter here. So we'll just try to figure out what makes the most sense. We have a number of players that have experience playing inside the formation. Petey's one of them. Kamari's played inside the formation. Miles Bryant's played inside the formation. He's not here right now, but Miles has experience there. Even Ceedee, when he was in Philadelphia, has played inside the formation. So just try to find guys that maybe have a certain degree of flexibility. And really, whatever you ask them to do, making sure that you're not asking them to do something that either A, they're not comfortable with, or B, maybe they're better off doing something else. So we'll figure out kind of what makes the most sense. But we feel like we have, a number of versatile players back there in the secondary. Other than Stingley, most of the guys have some position flex. And honestly, if Stingley had to go inside and play inside the formation, situationally, guy's the best corner in the league, so I'm sure he could probably figure it out.
CJ Gardner-Johnson, it appears a reasonable assumption that he's on the roster because he could be available the first couple of weeks of the season.
We'll see. He's worked hard. We'll see if he's, ready to practice here at some point. So, Ceedee's a good player. We think he can help us. So, we'll kind of see how much progress he makes. And again, we're not playing a game for, 10 days. So, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and the start of the season. So, we'll see how it goes. But, Ceedee's in a good spot. He's worked really hard and, made some progress. So, we'll see, when he's ready to go.
You as a quarterback know a former quarterback know the importance of OC and
a
quarterback.
Bad quarterback.
Well, you set some records at
They got obliterated.
Okay. But you know the importance of quarterback and offensive coordinator being on the same accord. How have you seen that develop over time with CJ and Nick Haley?
It's no different than probably the relationship that D'Amico and I have. You're in constant contact. You talk about everything. So there's communication back and forth. Hey, like this, what do you think? I'm not really comfortable with that. Maybe it's something else. So that's how it should work. Any good relationship, it's about good communication. So it starts there. So whether it's football, whether it's in life, my kids don't like maybe the communication we have, but it's about good constructive dialogue, good communication, and ultimately quarterback's got to be comfortable because he's the ball's in his hand 99% of the times in every play. So in the end, there's once the play clock cuts off after 15 seconds, you're on your own. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable with the call, comfortable with the formationing, comfortable with, where you're going with the football. Maybe it's a mechanic thing. Maybe it's a technique. Maybe, hey, can we make this adjustment to the formation? Hey, that's a good idea. I've seen the best relationships that I've seen in that situation. There's just a lot of dialogue. Saw firsthand kind of how that went with Tommy and Josh. Honestly, it was – Josh probably got sick of Tom, but, that's all right. But, we're talking from – Sundays after the game until Sunday morning before the next game. That's what it takes. Hardest position to play in all of sports. It takes a lot of work and constant communication and dialogue on a day-to-day basis.
When you first got here, we were talking about process over results during the rebuild. How would you describe this phase as compared to where you were those first two?
Yeah, no different. I think our program is very process-oriented. If you have good processes in place, hopefully it leads to good results. Sometimes good process doesn't necessarily lead to the best results. But what we've tried to do is just establish some level of consistency on a day-to-day basis, what we're doing on all levels, coaching, scouting, nutrition, player performance in all areas, and just get the right people in the building, understanding that it's a hard business. You're going to face some adversity. You're going to face, some stretches where things aren't going great. So you're either going to withstand that or you're going to wilt. We feel we can handle, anything that's put in front of us. And, that's what you want to kind of build. So you just got to focus on the process because the reality is, Landry, after a game on Sunday, you have to go back and start over, right? So post-game, all right, then you got to rebuild back up to get back to that same point. So you just don't go from one week to the next. So if you have good process, D'Amico and I both believe that strongly, and having good process, being consistent day to day. If there's an area that we can tweak or improve that can enhance our program, we're always going to consider that. And I think as long as we're here, that will be the approach.
Progress, very on to your anniversary, and how does that progress and the injury to Cam Robinson kind of affect the tackle position?
Yeah, offensive line, we'll put the best five guys out there. So however we deploy them, Tay's a good player. that's why we drafted him. And he's worked on the right, he's worked on the left. We have a number of players in the offensive line that have position versatility. Titus honestly has played all four positions on the offensive line other than center. Even going back to 21, he was out there at left tackle, against San Francisco. He's played left guard. So again, what we're trying to do on the offensive line, we've talked about this, is try to have enough players that have some position versatility, because if you lose somebody at one spot, what's the solution? So is it you move a guy, or is you take the 6th, 7th, or 8th player and he goes in, and then you're going to have to move somebody else over? We feel that room, we got a lot of versatility and a lot of flexibility there. We'll get the 5 best guys out there and kind of see what it looks like.
Cam Robinson, and And given that you all have an excess of tackles, do you think that's possible?
Yeah, and I've said this multiple times. I mean, can't ever have enough tackles in your building. So I feel like, however you count Titus, we have 3.5 tackles, we have 4 tackles, but we have a number of players that can play tackle. Even Deck, I know we traded him yesterday, but Deck had a good preseason. There's a guy that's actually started games in the NFL. So, it was a situation where it felt like, all right, kind of made sense. Probably have a good opportunity out there. So you're going to need tackles. So feel like we have some decent ones here. Hopefully we can keep them in the building because at some point we're probably going to need all of them.
When you were talking about the league handling NFI and PUP, do you view reserve NFI for Joe no different than a guy on IR designated to return?
It's the same category. Yeah, some of this is logistics and vernacular. Honestly, I think a lot of it is made more of it than it really is. So whatever the status is, they're on reserve, it's 4 games. So after 4 games, then you see where the player is. It doesn't mean they're going to come back. It just means they're available to start the 21-day window. So those players are all treated the same. That's how we view it. Maybe other teams view it differently, but that's kind of how we approach it.
Sitting here today, you're not ready to say whether he'd be available over that 7 weeks, including that 21-day window?
Yeah, all those players that are on that reserve category, every single one of them, they're out 4 weeks. So after 4 weeks, we'll see where they are.
Besides this, but did you expect or were you surprised that Jimmy was placed on the commissioner's exempt list?
Yeah, whatever the league decide. Honestly, it's their decision, so we'll deal with it accordingly. Kind of let the process play itself out. So, I don't really have anything to add beyond that.
About just kind of how your relationship with D'Amico, how it's evolved over these 3 seasons, and kind of just talk about maybe how in sync you guys are at this point.
Yeah, honestly, probably hasn't changed since the day we hired him to where we are now. And like I've said this publicly, I've said this privately. I flat out love the guy. I have a massive amount of appreciation and respect for who he is, what he's about. You see, when we talk to players, especially when you're going through the release process, it's not an easy process, but the class and dignity with which we try to handle it, and then what's expressed from the players to him, how they hold him in the regard that they do. Honestly, it's pretty uplifting. So, we talk a lot. I think we see football through the same lens. We have a massive amount of respect for each other and the jobs that we have to do. But in the end, this building is about doing things as a team, and it's doing things collectively. So no one person is bigger than the team. No one person is bigger than the organization. We both feel that way. Philosophically, we're aligned that way. And I've said this, he's as good of a human being and a person as he is a coach, and he's one of the best coaches in the league. So, our relationship has been really good from the start. I think it's grown each year. I'm glad he's our coach. Really wouldn't want to work with anybody else. And hopefully it continues to lead to pretty good results, and we can keep moving the organization in a good direction. I say this humbly, but I think, our program is pretty respected league-wide. It's because of the players and because of the people in the building. People want to be here. When a player basically says, look, I hope I don't get claimed so I can go to your practice squad, honestly, it speaks to where your program is. So, we've come a long way. Look, I was here for, 21. Nobody was saying that. So, we're obviously in a different spot. So hopefully we can just keep doing the right things, being consistent day to day, treat people the right way, just be honest with them and tell them the truth. And it starts at the top with him. Now, he won't take credit, because he's so humble and his nature isn't, but everything starts with him, and then it disseminates throughout the rest of the building. So I've said this multiple times. My job is to support him in any capacity possible, whatever that entails. And for as long as I'm in the position that I'm in, then that's my commitment to him and to the organization.
So you basically saying y'all have an arm wrestle here because he alluded.
No, he'll beat my ass. We work out together, but he's moving more weight than I am. So, but yeah, he can go out there and probably still make a tackle if he had to.
From an organizational perspective, like handling injuries and information and stuff like that, what is the approach that you and D'Amico take when it comes to injury information and players and whatnot?
Yeah, protect the players. So again, it's not public information. So we're trying to do, again, because here's what's happened with injuries, Landry, all right? Everybody tries to make an extrapolation about when are they ready, what are they doing, well, you guys said it was this number of weeks, then it was early, then it was later. Like, there's no good solution. The solution is protect the players and look out for the best interest of the players. Take it one day at a time. Everybody's on a different timetable. Everybody's got a different process that they have to go through, and that's how we handle it. So, again, like, other teams may handle it differently. So we just do what we feel is in the best interest of the team and what's best for the players. And D'Amico has said this. He was a former player, so he obviously has a pretty good lens. I just think sometimes, there's an extrapolation that tries to get made about every little detail and about what a player is going through. Look, players are dealing with a lot, and I would say in a lot of cases it's very mentally fatiguing and taxing for that particular player. And who else, nobody else really knows what else they have going on top of their injury. So we're trying to be sensitive. Look, I understand you all have a job to do, and you're trying to get information. Like, we understand that. We respect that. But we're also trying to look out for the best interest of the players because that's what we feel our responsibility is to them.
I get y'all's point of view, but if someone's going to be out for 2 months and you don't say anything, then doesn't the assumption kind of work the other way where people think, well, he could be back next week, he could be back next week? Does that kind of put the player in a tough spot too?
No. I mean, I'd say in the situations that we're in, I mean, the NFL, PUP are our guys. I mean, they're out 4 weeks. So let's see where we are after 4 weeks, and then we'll make a determination about the progress moving forward. All right. Thanks.